Chevy Vortec V8 GMT 800 trucks, blown head gasket. Let's get in here. I'm gonna show you how to diagnose these trucks. Every single trick I know on how to diagnose whether you got a blown head gasket or a cracked head. Let's get in here and check it out. Trust me, I'm a mechanic. All right, so here's the deal. We went through, replaced some radiator hoses on this for the heater hose connections, you know, where they go to the firewall, got those swapped out. But it's been using a lot of coolant, and I mean a lot. Like a half a gallon every 40 miles or something like that. No leaks I can see anywhere. When I started it up, it had a giant white puff of smoke a couple of times. Got me worried it's a blown head gasket or a cracked head, something like that. No antifreeze or coolant in the oil. So these are the conditions. There's different processes for going through and seeing if you got a blown head gasket or a cracked head. We're gonna go through all of them until we find the problem. Let's get into it. All right, so here we go. We got a Vortec V8, 4.8 V8, 5.3 V8, 6.0 V8. Same procedure. All right, so when you suspect one of these trucks has a blown head gasket or a cracked head, you're gonna pull out every diagnostic tool possible because you don't wanna take the engine apart. It is a major job. So first up, we're gonna do a radiator pressure test right here. Gonna pump it up, see where it's leaking from, see if it leaks down. Once we verify it leaks down, we can come over here and get an exhaust gas combustion leak detector kit here. And you're gonna put this on the radiator reservoir, fill it with some liquid. It's gonna change colors if you have any exhaust gases in your coolant. It's gonna bubble up. Then say, okay, we got a problem now. I'm gonna do a compression test, get in there, figure out what the compression's looking like, see, you know, what the internals are looking like of the engine from numbers. And then we got a borescope camera right here. We can stick it down in the spark plug holes and see what's going on inside the engine. Visual inspection. Sometimes you got to combine all of these to figure out exactly what's going on because it's usually not a head gasket or a cracked head. You want to make 1,000% sure that's the problem before you tear apart the engine because that is a major, major, major job. So, you know, most guys will just start here, stick it up here, fill it up, watch it bubble. I'm not most guys, you know. I did a pressure test first, came back and said, let's see if we can find the leak. You know, took the spark plugs out, went this route, you know. Obviously, if I suspected the head was leaking, I would use this, but I suspected a cracked head, and this would be more accurate to find a cracked head. You know, pressure test, compression test, and then a visual inspection on these engines. All right, so look, when it comes to finding a blown head gasket, you know, a cracked head, something like that that's pretty involved, you can pick any one of these methods. You know, I normally pressure test the cooling system because that seems to find most of the leaks most of the time. You know, it's got a lot of leak spots, so the pressurized cooling system, you know, it'll leak down, it'll drip out faster. You can watch it without the engine running. That's usually where I start. Here's a head gasket right here. So what we're going to be looking for on this truck is, you can see we have the fire ring around here. It's what holds in all your compression. You can see we have these little ports all around here for the water jacket. I want you to notice we have holes here. Now they can blow out right through here, through the fire ring. It'll blow out. You get some coolant in the cylinder right there. You know, it can blow out this way too because it's very thin right there. And then it can blow out right here and it can go into the oil like this. So I suspect this engine may have one of these blown out right here. The fire ring might be blown out right here, might be leaking coolant into one of the cylinders. That's my suspicion. So that's how we're going to approach this, try to figure it out. If one of these is blown out anywhere along here, these fire rings is what holds in all your pressure on here. If one of those is blown out, that compression tester will tell you right away, you know, if that thing's low pressure, it's blown out. All right, so check it out. I got this inspection camera right here. We're gonna stick it down in the spark plug hole, see if we can see anything going on in there without having to take anything apart. So this thing's really cool. It's got this tiny little camera on the end of it right here. We can wiggle it around. We can stick it in the spark plug hole. It's got LED on there, and we can see, and we don't have to disassemble anything, you know. Just take the spark plugs out. We can stick this in the hole, and then I'll get y'all some video out of it, see what's going on in there. But look at this. It's got a wiggler on it. See that? Right there. Wiggle that. And then it wiggles that right there, and we can stick it down in there, snake it around, see what's going on. All right, so we got all the spark plugs out here. I got them set up front. I'm gonna do a compression test. We're gonna check every single cylinder, write down the PSI results here. You know, just going off of reading the spark plugs, I haven't seen anything wrong with any of these. Man, I don't know. Mystery coolant leak. It's obviously burning it up. I saw a white cloud of smoke when we started it. It was running rough. I hope it's not a cracked head or blown head gasket. Doesn't look like it from this. It really doesn't. I mean, they look fine. So, you know, when you're diagnosing stuff like this, you know, you got to take note of where it is. Because if you find it on this cylinder, it's just a pile of spark plugs, you'll never know. So I like to get a piece of cardboard, put my spark plugs in there, front, you know, we got them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This will help us diagnose it, you know, once we go through the rest of it. If we can't find a problem and we say, oh, okay, camera showed this one's bad. Get in there, look at the spark plug. Yep, something's going on in that cylinder. It's gonna really help diagnose it if we keep everything organized. So I like doing a compression test on these Chevy Vortec V8 engines. You know, it should tell you the condition of the engine. You know, if it's blown out, the head gasket's blown out, it'll just come up low. But, you know, that'll tell you pretty quick you have a problem with that cylinder, and you can zone in on that cylinder and investigate it more, figure out if the head gasket's blown right there, you know, something like that. Stop. Got about 190 PSI. This cylinder's good. We're at the front right here, and now we got to do those three. We'll be done. All right, man. So we just got done doing our compression test on all these cylinders here, and it was interesting to say the least. So we got about 185 PSI up to 200 PSI on that one cylinder. I saw a bunch of carbon in there, but you know. So I don't believe it's a blown head gasket or a cracked head. It's good news and bad news because the mystery continues. You know, if you're doing this and you get a wild number like 100 PSI, 80 PSI, 50 PSI, and they're all high, you know, that one cylinder's blown out. But this all looks pretty good. Rule of thumb, within 10% of each other. We got 185 to 200 PSI. We're in good shape. Motor's got 170,000 miles on it. Doesn't appear to be leaking into the engine, the combustion chamber. The mystery continues. So I don't know what's going on with this thing. All right, so what is going on in there? If you look up here, in the very top up here, you'll see a bunch of white deposits. There you go. You can see the contrast right in the corner. It's the best shot I can get. There we go. I don't know. This might be the problem. It looks like it's some kind of salts or something. It's bizarre. It looks like it's built up on the piston. Perhaps it's burnt up antifreeze residue. That's the worst one I've seen so far, so we'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep that in mind. It's the piston all the way in the back there. So look, we got it on this side too. You can't tell me that's all carbon deposits up in there. I don't know. A bunch of white stuff on there. I mean, it's a little mountain of carbon deposits, if that's what it is, up in here. So we'll take note of this cylinder. So hopefully we find nothing with the camera. If we find nothing, the mystery continues. If we find something, a pool of antifreeze or something in there, we'll know it's a head gasket or a cracked head, but I'm suspicious of a cracked head. Let's keep digging, see what we can find. And normally where they crack is right in here between the valves. So I got that thing bent all around in there. Look at that, that is so cool. We can see down in there. I'm gonna do this for every single cylinder. So I'm not seeing anything in there. No cracks, no antifreeze in the, bore. I'd expect to see a bunch of antifreeze sitting down in there, but there ain't nothing in there, and it's not cracked right here. Right there is where they crack that small spot. So we're gonna go through every single one, check it like this, but this thing's really cool. So you can get in there, rotate it around. Yeah, see, there's no antifreeze sitting. Well, that's the top. There we go. There's no antifreeze down in there. There's nothing sitting down in there. I can look up, see, nothing going on in this cylinder, but it's really cool. We just rotate it like this. This little wheel right here, we can see in there. All right, so here's another method you can do. You can pump it up like this and then pump the radiator pressure up to about 15 PSI. We got about 12, 13 right now. Come down here and we can look at the camera, and I'm not about to move it because I got it right where I want. And we can watch that camera screen and see if it squirts any antifreeze into the cylinder. So we can see if it's dripping, you know, running down in there. I got it shined right there's where I want to be looking, because that's where they crack in between the two valves, and it's bone dry. And this cylinder is the one I suspected as being bad, and I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing any antifreeze, but I'm gonna pump this thing up and I'm gonna let it sit overnight, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna look in each cylinder and we're gonna see if there's any antifreeze down in the engine, because I'm not seeing anything like this. I can attempt this on every single cylinder. It's not gonna be easy, but that's how we can look for a cracked head without taking everything apart. Pump it up, watch it with the camera, or pump it up, let it drain into the cylinders, and inspect it with the camera. Look at that shot right there. This is what I'm looking for. You see that running down there? That's oil. That looks like oil. I don't think it's got any antifreeze in there. You can come up, we can see it's coming down. I'm not sure. It's leaking from the intake in. Just nastiness, you know, probably from the compression test, a little bit of gasoline, a little bit of oil, but it's dripping down. Yeah, man, that's a cool shot. These cameras are crazy. You can see what's going on inside the engine. See that oil dripping right down in there. That's wild. But it's not antifreeze, so we're gonna have to keep looking. You know, it's no water in the oil, nothing like that. Can't find anything like that. I've been searching, I've been looking. I'm not gonna give up. I'm about to just take off the valve covers and see, you know, maybe we'll find something there, I don't know, but let's take off the valve covers and take a look to see if there's something going on in there. You know, hopefully we'll find it then. All right, get out of there. Ooh, yeah, there's gonna be wires in the way. Ugh. Oh no. That's not good. What is that? No. Great. Oh man. What is that, dude? Oh no, is that a blown head gasket or a cracked head? Dude, what a mess. Oh man, what is going on? Now we know why the lifters were ticking. They're both like that. So, I had a coolant leak. I don't know, it looks like a blown head gasket, cracked heads. I don't know, we had good pressure. You know, it held pressure, but we got bigger problems. That's why those lifters are ticking. This is not good. I don't know. Looks like we're gonna have to pressure test these heads again, something. But boy, oh boy. So that's not looking too good, huh? We got sludge on top of sludge on top of sludge, huh? Man, that stuff is nasty. It's like Jello. Literally Jello. I mean, it's just thick. It's gobbed on there. Yuck. Bad. So, right down in here, I'll show y'all what we're looking like. Basically, we got bad heads. They're cracked. I want you to take a notice here. You see that GM logo right in the center of the screen? You'll see an oil drain back hole. There's 3 of them, I believe. 1, 2, then 3 up here. See how black that one is versus how clean that one is. I'll get a close up, but that one's clean, that one's black. Basically, it's been bubbling up coolant, spraying down the heads, spraying down the valve covers, shooting steam like that while running. Right, both sides. They're both equally cracked. Don't know how, never overheated it, but that's the coolant leak down there. Fixed all the external ones, and unfortunately, we got bigger fish to fry now. So I want you to look closely right down in here. You will notice some little drops right down in there. That's gonna be coolant. That is Dex Cool, that is red antifreeze, and it has leaked out right there. You can see with that pressure test, it's leaked out, and you'll notice that's where the steam's coming from. So the casting on the head is bad right there. See those drops? I mean, it's just some pinhole leaks, but you know, over time, under pressure, and it turns to steam, steams the engine. Now you will notice down in here, nothing. See how dirty it is versus clean? And then this one back here is dirty too. And you see, it's a little bit cleaner than it should be in this valve cover. And then we got sludge right here, look. Yeah, no. So, I didn't know this while I was fixing this thing and diagnosing it, or else I would have started there, trust me. But we found it. Now you know how to fix the ones external, and then if you got an internal leak, you know, we got to take apart this motor, replace the heads. Unfortunately, that's what has to be done. But if you got any of the other leaks, they're easy. This one is the hardest one to find. Just little pinholes in the top of the head. We're gonna have to get in there, probably get this motor out, get it fixed up, get it put back in. So that's gonna be future videos. Check you out on the next one. Don't forget, drop me a huge thumbs up. Don't forget, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think, what truck you got. I'll check you out on the next one. Later.